A 73-year-old grandpa was just enjoying a quiet morning fishing by his own backyard lake, until a self-proclaimed HOA Karen stormed in, called the cops, and tried to kick him out. But what she didn't know, that one phone call would end up costing her HOA a jaw-dropping $2 million. You won't believe how this peaceful grandpa turned the tables without raising his voice. Imagine you're an elderly grandpa, just trying to enjoy a peaceful morning, sitting by the water with your fishing pole, when out of nowhere, a woman storms over, phone in hand, screaming, "You can't fish here." That's exactly what happened to 73-year-old Mr. Walter Jenkins, a retired Navy veteran who lived peacefully in a quiet neighborhood for over 20 years. Every morning, Walter would stroll down to a small lake near his property, a spot he'd fished at since he bought his home decades ago. But this day was different. A woman named Linda, who had recently become the president of the local homeowners association, HOA, didn't like the idea of someone fishing by her community lake. Despite Walter owning property that backed up directly to the water, she insisted the area was private HOA land and that he had no right to be there. And what did she do? She didn't ask questions or try to understand. She called the cops. Minutes later, a patrol car pulls up. Two officers approach Walter, who's calmly sitting with his line in the water, humming a tune. Linda rushes up to them yelling, "That man is trespassing. He doesn't live here." Walter, cool as ever, simply says, "Actually, officers, I live right there," pointing to his house just 50 feet away. He then explains how he's been fishing in that spot for over 20 years. He even shows them old photos of his grandkids fishing with him by that same lake. The officers ask Linda for proof that the area is restricted. She points to a newly installed HOA sign that says, "Private property. No fishing." But here's where it gets interesting. Walter had something Linda didn't know about: deeds, maps, and paperwork. After the officers left, Walter decided enough was enough. He wasn't a troublemaker, but he didn't like being treated like a criminal on land he had every right to access. So he went digging through his old paperwork. What he found was golden. A legal easement from 1998, recorded when the neighborhood was developed. This easement granted lake access to 5 homes, including his, even though the land around the lake was technically managed by the HOA. This easement was legally binding and had never been removed. The HOA had no right to stop him, and Linda's new no fishing signs were not only wrong, they were potentially illegal. But Walter didn't stop there. He contacted a property rights attorney, and together, they filed a formal complaint against the HOA for violating his easement rights and attempting to restrict access. And that's when things got serious. The case made its way to county court, where the judge not only upheld Walter's easement rights, but also found that the HOA had violated property access laws by trying to change the rules without proper notification or approval. Worse, the HOA had installed fences, cameras, and signs that interfered with all 5 easement properties, not just Walter's. The court ordered the HOA remove all no fishing and no access signs, tear down a portion of the fence they had installed, pay $150,000 in legal fees and damages to Walter and the other homeowners. And the biggest hit? The judge ruled that because the HOA knowingly violated property rights, they'd have to pay $2 million in penalties and restoration costs to fix the area and comply with county land use regulations. All because one woman made a power move she couldn't back up. After the ruling, HOA President Linda, or Karen, as the neighborhood began calling her, resigned in disgrace. Rumor has it, she sold her home just 2 months later and moved out of state. The lake area is now open and peaceful again. Walter still fishes there every morning, sometimes with his grandchildren by his side, smiling and waving to neighbors who've come to admire him as a quiet hero who stood up for what was right. He didn't yell. He didn't fight. He just used facts, law, and a bit of patience. And that patience cost the HOA $2 million. If you enjoyed watching Karen's $2 million meltdown, give this video a big thumbs up. Bellhop Bell, don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories where karma shows up, sometimes with a fishing pole in hand. Speech balloon, drop a comment below if you've ever had to deal with a power-tripping HOA or a neighborhood Karen. We'd love to hear your story.